Welcome to this episode of Franchise Spotlight. I'm Blaine Young, the Vice President of Franchise Sales and Development for NaturaLawn of America. And we're going to go to Wilmington, Delaware, and talk to Kevin Brown, the new owner of the Wilmington, Delaware franchise. Kevin, how are you doing?
Doing great, Blaine. Thanks for having me. It's always busy.
So tell those that are watching, how did you get into this industry, Kevin?
Well, I mean, funny thing, I don't really know if I, intended to get in this industry. I kind of look at it as almost the industry chose me. I was an employee back in the day in the early 2000s, didn't quite work out. A couple years later, a new opportunity came up at NaturaLawn of America in Wilmington. Went back there as a technician. 15 years later, here I am with the opportunity to be able to purchase it from a longstanding owner, Rick Yates, who has owned this franchise since 1991. And I'm just looking forward to carrying it into the future of everything that he had built.
So have you always been in the green industry, doing fertilization, weed control, those types of things? Have you always been in that industry?
I had a few other jobs within the industry, a couple other companies in my earlier years. And I mean, I enjoyed, being outside and talking to customers and, honestly take pride in the work of, seeing what you've done to, make their investment, into your services, make that lawn look good and take pride in doing the work. And I mean, over time, I've just learned more and, not only from Rick, but, a lot of other people within the franchise system. And I've just been so engaged in this now over the last, let's say like 5, 6, 7 years. I've been here for 15. But, at one point I just saw myself as a tech, and then I started learning the ins and outs of the business aspect, the back avenue stuff, and it just, it really took to me. And, now I just kind of want to grasp it and, take it into the future.
So did you ever see yourself going from tech to branch manager, from branch manager to owner?
No, no, Blaine, if you would have told, how old am I now? 46. Let's go back. So if you would have told 31-year-old me that in 15 years, you're going to own this franchise, I would have laughed. I'm sure I would have said some, crazy things, but I would have been like, no, you're kidding. There's no way this is going to happen. So for it to be happening now, it's very surreal, to be honest with you.
Well, congratulations. If you could talk a little bit about the support that you have received from NaturaLawn of America, and I'm not so much talking about working there in the Wilmington, Delaware branch. I'm talking about from the home office support, whether it was being a technician to the, obviously you got more interaction and support when you became a branch manager, but there are regional trainings that technicians attend. But the amount of support that you have received from NaturaLawn of America.
Yeah, I mean, it's been tremendous. And this goes, back, into my years as a tech. I think maybe my 3rd or 4th season. You get used to the Steiner trainings, the John Steiner trainings, and those kind of things. Those are more customer relations. You get your certifications and your credits and everything. And I think that's where the ball really started to roll. Was, I started learning the ins and outs and having these relationships, with John Steiner and then, a few other people at the home office and then you and, speaking with Jesse and Teresa over the years and marketing and, developing those relationships. And now, I look at it and, a lot of the younger owners, younger generation, the new breed of owners and managers and things coming up and, building relationships with them. And, I like talking to everybody within the industry because everything's different. If you're Justin, I talk to Justin in Mississippi all the time. And, again, he's down in Mississippi. It's going to be completely different than what's up in Delaware. But, he and I developed a relationship, and now with my FBC in Elvin, he and I have developed a longstanding relationship. And, everyone at the home office has always been helpful and insightful. And, all of us trying to get on the same page for the same goal. And so, those relationships are, genuine, they're important. And, not only from a business level, but also from, a personal level to know that you have those people you can turn to and rely on. I can, text you, hey, Blaine, this, that, and the other thing, you get back to me. It might be a Sunday afternoon at 2:00, but, one way or another, we're going to connect and be able to, get on the same page with things.
So for those that are tuning in, they're hearing some names. John Steiner's been with Natural Lawn of America close to 30 years and is a franchise business consultant. You mentioned Elvin Wolf. You mentioned Jesse Catron, our senior vice president, Teresa Smith, a senior vice president. So I just want to put some context to those names. Kevin, one last question before I let you go. If you could turn back the clock and give that 31-year-old Kevin Brown some advice, or give someone that may be looking at the Natural Lawn of America franchise offering, what advice or gold nugget would you share?
Get in it early, honestly. Be ready to put in the work, and share your knowledge with the people around you. Honestly, if I could go back to the 31-year-old Kevin, I would have told him to go back to the 26-year-old Kevin and said, stick it out for 1 year, more years. And, who knows where I'd be now 20 years later rather than 15 years. But, you always need to be learning. You always need to be willing to learn and also take criticism. You're not always going to be right. You're not going to be perfect. You need to lean on people. You need to lean on your peers to take all your information to come up with the best, possible solution. But, just take everything in and, try to not only make yourself successful and yourself the best, but all the people around you. Bring people for the ride with you, because then ultimately your business is going to be very successful because of not only you, but everyone else that's there to put in the work with you.
All right. We're going to end on that wonderful advice. Again, we've been talking with Kevin Brown, the franchise owner of the Natural Lawn franchise in Wilmington, Delaware. And Kevin, I want to thank you for joining Natural Lawn of America Franchise Spotlight. And we hope you have an incredible ride and a great year.
Looking forward to it, Blaine. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Appreciate it.